So think about this for a second. What if one of the most important spiritual discoveries in all of human history happened at the exact same moment we figured out how to annihilate ourselves and also how to build a machine intelligence to control everything? I know, it sounds like the plot of a sci-fi movie, but the theory we're digging into today argues that's pretty much exactly what happened.
Okay, let's just take a look at this timeline because the year 1945 was absolutely wild. On one side of the coin, you have humanity unleashing the atom bomb and finishing ENIAC, the very first electronic computer. So boom, you have the nuclear age and the digital age born at the same time. On the other side, pilots are reporting these weird Foo Fighters in the sky. And then, way out in the Egyptian desert, something completely different is going on. A collection of ancient Gnostic texts, buried for over 1,500 years, is accidentally discovered.
So you gotta ask, right? Was all of this just one massive cosmic coincidence? Or was this ancient wisdom, this lost library, delivered to us at that precise world-changing moment for a reason? You know, was it some kind of warning? Or maybe it was a user's manual for what was coming next.
To even start to unpack that, we first have to get our heads around what these ancient texts were actually saying. We've got to understand the worldview of the Gnostics.
First off, Gnosticism isn't one single religion. It's really more of a catch-all term for a bunch of spiritual movements back in the 1st and 2nd centuries. And their core idea was a seriously radical one for the time. They believed this material reality we live in, well, it isn't the real deal. They saw it as a flawed, maybe even a fake creation. Basically, a kind of cosmic prison. And this is where it gets really interesting, how they mapped out the cosmos. They believed our world was built by a flawed, lesser god they called the Demiurge, who had these powerful servants called archons. And these guys, they're basically the prison guards of our reality. But, and this is the really hopeful part, the Gnostics also believed in a true ultimate god, the monad. And they said that every single one of us has a tiny piece of that god, a divine spark, trapped inside of us, just desperate to get out.
Now, I know this might sound a little out there, but this idea actually pops up again and again in more modern times. Way before anyone really knew about these Gnostic texts, a writer named Charles Fort came to this really similar, kind of chilling conclusion. His idea that humanity is essentially owned, man, that just perfectly nails the Gnostic vibe of being controlled by some hidden, powerful force.
So the theory we're exploring makes this incredible connection between the ancient Roman Empire, where Gnosticism first popped up, and our own modern era. How on earth could two periods almost 2,000 years apart be so similar? Well, according to this idea, the answer isn't just in the history books. It's in a kind of cosmic clock.
And that clock is something called the Pluto-Neptune cycle. We're talking about a huge, nearly 500-year-long astrological cycle. The theory goes that the rhythm of this cycle lines up perfectly with these massive shifts in global power, the rise and fall of empires, and even the belief systems that hold societies together.
And check this out. The timing is just incredible. The cycle kicks off around 84 BC, right as Rome is morphing from a republic into a world-spanning empire, the perfect environment for Gnosticism to take hold. Now, hit the fast-forward button. The very next cycle begins around 1891, right in the middle of the Gilded Age, when you've got new empires of industry and banking being built. And what do you know? A modern Gnostic revival starts to bubble up.
But here's the real kicker. The source argues that the 1890s weren't just an echo of Rome. It was more like a dress rehearsal for 1945. I mean, look at the parallels. You have the discovery of the electron, which is the foundation of nuclear power. You get the Hollerith machine, which is basically the great-grandfather of the modern computer. You even get a wave of mystery airship sightings, a total preview of the UFO phenomenon. And you even get a smaller discovery of a Gnostic text, years before the big find at Nag Hammadi. It's all there in miniature. Okay, so let's bring this all into the here and now, because this is where this ancient warning stops being about history and starts being about our daily lives. If the pattern holds, then we have to ask the really big question: who or what are the archons of today? Well, the argument is that our archons aren't some kind of mythical monsters. Nope, they're the invisible systems that are controlling our reality more and more every day. We're talking about the algorithms that decide what you see and what you think, the mass surveillance systems and AI that predicts our behavior, the social networks literally designed to manipulate us, and yeah, that tiny class of tech billionaires who have a level of power that ancient emperors could only dream of. And this brings us right back around to the UFO phenomenon. The famous researcher Jacques Vallée, and get this, he ironically helped build the forerunner to the internet. He suggested that UFOs might not be about aliens from other planets at all.
He thought they could be a kind of control system, a phenomenon designed to subtly mess with human beliefs on a deep mythological level, an idea that sounds about as Gnostic as it gets.
Which leads us to that huge question you hear all the time now, especially from the people building our digital world: are we living in a simulation? When guys like Elon Musk talk about this, whether they know it or not, they are asking a fundamentally Gnostic question. Is the world we see around us the real world?
Okay, so I know this all sounds pretty heavy, maybe a little grim. But here's the thing. The theory says this isn't just a doomsday prophecy. The Gnostic texts aren't just a warning about the archons. They're also supposed to be a survival guide, a kind of escape plan for the human spirit in an age of total control.
So how do you fight back? The path is called Gnosis, which just means knowledge. But we're not talking about book smarts here. We're talking about direct, personal, mystical experience. The solution these ancient texts offered was to stop looking for truth from outside authorities. Doesn't matter if it's a priest, an emperor, or today, an algorithm. Instead, the goal is to look inward, to find that divine spark inside yourself, and then to connect with other people who are doing the same thing. To live inside the system but not be a spiritual part of it.
And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought. As our technology gets more and more godlike, and the systems of control get tighter and tighter, is it possible the real path to freedom isn't some new technology? Is it possible we have to look backward? Could it be that this ancient wisdom, this Gnostic path of inner knowledge and spiritual freedom, is actually the key to navigating the future that's already here?